All right, welcome. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. So we're starting a little bit early today, obviously. And right now it's just going to be an open conversation, guys. So whatever you guys want to talk about, you guys can just go ahead and throw topics at me, throw questions, ideas, what you guys are thinking about the free agency that is to come in March and the draft that is to come in April, and what you guys think about this Carson Wentz saga. And we are always down to talk about it. I'm always down to talk about anything that you guys want to talk about because that's just what we do, baby. That's just what we do. So we're gonna kind of have a very calm vibe from here on out right now, and it's an open conversation. Got the Killers playing in the background. So whatever you guys want to throw at me, I'm down to talk about it. Let's go ahead and talk about it. But there is one thing that I do want to address just right here off the bat. There is, as of reports, there is one team that does have quarterback Zach Wilson listed above quarterback Trevor Lawrence on their board, which I saw this morning, and I thought that was pretty interesting. I think that's pretty interesting. Reason that makes that interesting is because I could see Jacksonville doing that. Now, I'm not saying it's silly. But I mean, guys, as we know, Trevor Lawrence is being touted as a once of a generation type of talent, like an Andrew Luck, and Zach Wilson. While he is talented, Trevor Lawrence is being nabbed or tabbed as a can't miss prospect. So, but then again, it could be Jacksonville. It could be the Philadelphia Eagles, guys. It could be any one of these teams in the top 10 that have Zach Wilson listed above Trevor Lawrence on their board. And I want to talk about this for a second too, because here's the thing. I was listening to John McMullen last night, and he brought up a very good point. And the Eagles have the sixth pick, as we all know. The Eagles have the sixth pick. They weren't planning on being this high, on having this high of a position at this point in time. After drafting Carson Wentz, they weren't planning on it, and now that they're here, they really don't have a choice other than to take a really, really hard look at the top 5 quarterbacks in this draft. They really don't. And here's the thing. Just after spending a little bit of time thinking about it, if we get a decent amount of compensation, whether it's the Colts, whether it's the Bears, whether it's the Broncos, whether it does end up being the 49ers or another team like that, we'll have other picks. If the Eagles go quarterback in the first round, we'll have other picks that they can go ahead and shore up the rest of the team with. And so that kind of brings me back to what I said in yesterday's stream: is there is no real reason to panic if the first round pick is something other than what we think it will be, because we can get decent guys pretty much through rounds 1 through 3. And then I have a few sleepers for rounds 4 through 7 that, once I have Patrick J back on the show with me, we will certainly go over that at some point. But I do see somebody has joined. AJ, how's it going? How's it going today, man? Happy Wednesday. AJ Styles says, why don't you like Justin Fields for the Philadelphia Eagles? I never said I don't like Justin Fields, AJ. I do like Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields a lot. It's just right now it's hard to commit to them taking a quarterback. It's hard to know how they feel about Jalen Hurts at this point, whether or not they want to go forward with him or not. The one thing I will say is, obviously, as we know, every time a new head coach is appointed for an NFL team, they usually like to find their own guy. So that is the one thing. I do like Justin Fields. I think that he would be a good a good draft pick. I'm not gonna lie. I think. I mean, I'm right there with you, man. I would not mind bringing in Justin Fields to compete with Jalen Hurts this offseason. I wouldn't mind that at all. So it's just hard to hard to get a pulse on what they on how they feel about Jalen Hurts, because here's my thing about them drafting a quarterback in the first round is usually you want that first round quarterback to start, or at least that's what I think. That's my opinion, and so with that being the case, what does that really say to Jalen Hurts? It says, okay, well, we're going to let you guys compete, but eventually we actually want this guy to start, especially when it's as high as 6, or possibly even the Eagles trading up again to take a quarterback. And so I do like a couple of these quarterbacks. I'm a little bit wary of taking Trey Lance out of North Dakota State, and honestly, it's nothing against Trey Lance. It has more so to do with the fact that Carson came from North Dakota State, and I may question just the competitive toughness there. Not taking anything away from Carson's competitiveness, but I do think that but his silence over this offseason has really kind of turned me off from him, and so there is a bit of that, but it's like I said the other day with linebacker Jabril Cox. He transferred from NDSU, North Dakota State, to LSU to get a better opportunity, and so that's a guy who wanted to work hard and work harder and kind of prove himself, and so he went to a bigger school with a bigger opportunity, and that worked wonders for him, and will probably do so as we get closer to the draft. But I have nothing against Justin Fields whatsoever. Nothing against Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is a phenomenal prospect, and I think he's going to do great things for whichever team picks him. But I am curious as to which team does have Trevor Lawrence, or does have Zach Wilson ranked above Trevor Lawrence. However, that kind of caught my eye and really got me curious. Really sparked my curiosity. Because if it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, then there's no way that the Jets pass up Trevor Lawrence at 2. There's just no way. Absolutely no way. Well, how do you feel about that, AJ? How do you feel about the fact that one of these guys, or one of these teams in the top 10, ranked Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence? Give me 1 second here while I go ahead and pull up some more stuff here. But as I said last night, I do believe this Carson Wentz deal. It seems like it's really, really close to going down, especially with the fact that now we know that the Bears have made the strongest offer. I think it's putting pressure. I bet you the Bears camp released that. And maybe it was the Bears camp, maybe it was the Eagles camp who released that to the media. But because it was released, whoever released it, I think is insinuating that they're close. They're close. They're close to getting a deal. They're close to getting a deal done. And I think if the Colts really want him, and as we know, the reports have come out where Frank Reich does believe, and people in that Indianapolis Colts organization do believe, that they can build around Carson Wentz, and there's no reason for them to think otherwise, other than the fact that he had a poor year, but it's just one poor year. Then they need to ante up, and they need to increase their offer. They need to increase their offer, and maybe they've tried. Maybe the Bears offer just includes players. and it's just stuff that we just do not know about. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just some stuff that we just don't know about. So. But I'm excited for this offseason, guys. I'm really excited for this offseason. I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a little bit edgy. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. I know that for a fact. And when I say that I'm not worried about the Eagles taking a quarterback at 6 and passing up like a playmaker like Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase or a Micah Parsons, or even one of the cornerbacks like Patrick Surtain III or Caleb Farley or any of those guys. There's guys in the second round. There's guys in the second round. And if they get another first-round pick, it won't matter anyway, because there's going to be plenty of players, plenty of talent there. In the second round, obviously, as I've mentioned before, Asante Samuel Jr., who is one of my personal favorites coming out of this draft. J.C. Horn, J.C. Horn Jr. Or J.C. Horn is another personal favorite, son of legendary wide receiver Joe Horn, is another personal favorite. We got cornerback Sean Wade is another personal favorite of mine. He's one of those guys you can move around all around the defense, and I absolutely love him because he's listed as a cornerback safety, or he's listed as a safety, but he's actually a cornerback safety hybrid. But he's built like a bulkier Tyrann Mathieu. So he's built like a bulkier honey badger, and he's one of those guys you can just move around as a chess piece all around the defense. And so I would love for Jonathan Gannon to be able to get his hands on him, and the Philadelphia Eagles to be able to get his hands on him, because he would just be a great addition to the defense. I mean, the whole quarterback thing in the first round for the Philadelphia Eagles is a great topic of conversation. Reason being is, is it important enough to the point where we could possibly see them taking a quarterback over offensive tackle Penei Sewell if he falls? It's one of those things. They're still high on Andre Dillard. We do know that there's reports. However, there's reports that they're still high on Andre Dillard, but there's reports obviously that Andre Dillard has been thrown into some trade rumors. If those trade rumors are true, I think it would be a mistake. I think it would be a mistake. And I was listening to John McMullen, and he agreed with that sentiment. I think it's a little too early. He came into the season, came into the season and was supposed to be the starting left tackle. With Jason Peters playing right guard this last season, and it just did not happen with the torn biceps. So obviously we saw Jason Peters move back to left tackle, and then we went through that whole debacle again with Jason Peters and his injuries. But I mean, here's the thing. I don't expect Jason Peters to be back. I don't understand people who think Jason Peters is going to be back, because they tried to release him last season and they didn't expect Brandon Brooks to get hurt. Jason Peters would not have been back on this team if Brandon Brooks did not get hurt. So you have to remember that. I expect Brandon Brooks to be back. I don't think they're going to try and trade him, but like I said before, I do fully believe that the Eagles are in rebuild mode, and I think that they're in rebuild, and so we're going to see quite a few guys get moved. We're gonna see quite a few guys get moved, and so it's just one of those things where, because of that reason, rebuilds are exciting. Rebuilds can be a little bit scary. Rebuilds can be kind of exciting. It's like life in a sense, where you kind of have to, sit back and evaluate and really kind of go back to the well after a long day's work and reflect on how the day went, especially when you find yourself being a little bit too negative. You know what I mean? You realize that you're putting out so much negative energy into the air. You want to go back to the well a little bit and give yourself time to reflect, give yourself time to be quiet and get silent and really kind of step back and try and see things from a broader perspective, you know. Um, and that's what I try to do anyway. You don't want to you don't want to put yourself in that position where it's nothing but negative energy out there, and that's why the rebuild, and that's why the rebuilding time can be scary. That's why the rebuilding time can be exciting. So I think that they are in reset and rebuild mode. And yes, it can be scary and it can be exciting. It can be exciting because it has the potential to be something even more brilliant than we saw before. It has the potential to be, something even better, and that's all we can really ask for. That's something that we can really look forward to. I think something new. You know what I mean? So I think I think while it's scary, I think it's exciting. So I think we're going to see quite a few players get moved. I think we're going to see quite a few players get moved, but we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how this whole thing plays out. You know what I mean? So, um, but let's see here. There's a recent report that just came out about the on Bleacher Report that says the Colts have no interest in upping the offer that they made for Wentz. So that offer, obviously, as we know, is the 2 second-round picks and a mid-round pick, something along those lines, but no player included. So that's not good. So I guess like I said, I think something's going to happen fairly soon, and I think Carson's going to Chicago. Here's the thing: Carson doesn't really have leverage. Carson doesn't really have leverage. Howie can send Carson wherever he wants. It's not like he has any sort of trade clause in his contract. So Howie's doing him a solid by delaying this thing, because Carson prefers Indianapolis. So if the Colts aren't going to up the offer, we might see this thing done by tomorrow or by the end of the day. And that just came out this morning. I do want to go ahead and take a moment of silence, however, to we don't have to take a moment of silence, but I do want to pay my respects. Wide receiver Vincent Jackson did pass away the other night. Was found lifeless in his apartment, and 38 years old. Phenomenal wide receiver who played for the Chargers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and so I just want to pay my respects to him. It's a tragedy. It's a real tragedy. He died such a young age. Didn't retire that long ago. So I remember going up against Vincent Jackson. I remember the Eagles going up against Vincent Jackson and those guys in San Diego, and the San Diego Chargers, and he was just absolutely phenomenal. So he's a great wide receiver that the world has lost just the other day. AJ Styles says, when do I think Are you asking me when do I think Carson is going to get traded, or where is he going to go when he's traded? Well, I think Carson's going to the Bears. I think it's going to happen by the end of the day or tomorrow. I hope that answers your question. Let me know if I was off on that one, AJ. But we'll just have to see how this whole thing plays out. I think I want to touch on some free agents, obviously, if Howie's able to bring down the cap a little bit to give us some flexibility in adding free agents, which I expect him to do. I mentioned this before. There's 3 starting offensive linemen from the Chargers that will be free agents, and obviously our new offensive coordinator Shane Steichen has ties to these guys, just from his time with the Chargers, and that is offensive lineman Dan Feeney. That's offensive lineman Mike Pouncey, and then there is another one that is slipping my mind. For offensive guard Forrest Lamp. So all of those guys are capable of starting, and would be serviceable. Would be serviceable to add to our offensive line. Whether it's as backups for now or not, but I think that one of them will be definitely. I think offensive guard Forrest Lamp could do a better job than Isaac Samalu. That's for sure. That is for sure. Even Dan Feeney could do a better job than Samalu. And Mike Pouncey is a center, and so that's, while he's up there in age, he's about 31. It all depends on the fate of Jason Kelsey, and God, I hope he does not retire. Yeah, I think AJ Styles says yes. So yeah, I think I don't know why it keeps going back to that. Yeah, so I think he's gonna go to. I think he's gonna go to the Bears. I think Howie Roseman is not gonna play. I think that's the thing that's keeping this trade delayed is Carson Wentz's preference of going to Indianapolis. But I don't think Howie Roseman is gonna let his patience run any thinner than it probably has. So I think he's gonna take the offer with the Bears, and we'll see it be done by tomorrow or by the end of the day or by probably by the end of the weekend. That's for sure. And the great thing about that, it is a great thing for us, AJ, if Howie Roseman takes that deal with the Bears. And the reason being is there was a report that a week and a half ago that the Bears felt that they overvalued for Carson Wentz. And so and then it just recently came out that they still have the best offer on the board, which means that they probably didn't remove that initial that offer that put them over the top in the first place. So that overvaluing offer is the one that is still on the board, which means it could be a first round pick and Roquan Smith. It could be exactly what we heard in the rumors. Linebacker Roquan Smith and a first round pick would be absolutely like a steal for the Philadelphia Eagles. It would be a freaking steal. But I actually think that the rumor was this. It was 2 first-round picks in Roquan Smith, and then the Eagles sending Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz, or Carson Wentz and a second-round pick to the Bears. And that would be a steal. It's probably not going to be that. That just seems like a huge haul for the Chicago Bears to send the Eagles. Like a first-round pick and maybe a mid-round pick and Roquan Smith would make sense. Who is the Chicago Bears tight end? I wonder if Zach Ertz is going to go to Chicago. Do they need a tight end? And AJ, let me know if the music is too loud. I can't hear my audio. I can't hear my audio on your end. So the music in the background, let me know if it's too loud, buddy. Okay, so the Bears don't really have a tight end. They have a few no-namers right now. Let me do a little bit more research on this real quick. And it's okay that we're doing this. Like I said, right now, obviously we're starting a little bit early, so it's all about open conversation. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. But and so we have all the time in the world. Okay, so they have Jimmy Graham. But right now, Jimmy Graham is listed as a second string for the Bears, and they have Cole Kmet. They have Cole Kmet, tight end. You know, here's what I think the Eagles should do if it's a trade to the Bears. Is I think it should be a first round pick and wide receiver Anthony Miller. Wide receiver Anthony Miller, or maybe even Riley Ridley, but I think Anthony Miller would be a better option. I don't want Nick Foles. I don't want Nick Foles here. I'm going to finish what I'm saying, and then and then tell me what you think about this. Okay, AJ. Zach Wilson, Philadelphia Eagles. I like that. I like that. I like both. I like both of them. I love Zach Wilson, and I like Justin Fields. I like both of them. I think it's important. I think here's my thing. Here's my philosophy. AJ, and obviously AJ said, for anybody who's listening, AJ said Zach Wilson to Philadelphia Eagles. I believe that it is important for a new head coach to get a new quarterback. I think that that's important. Reason being is because, in my opinion, it's like having a brother, right? It's like, I personally, I have a brother, and him and I grew up together. It's a little bit different than having a best friend. Now, obviously, I have best friends that I call brother, because they're that close to me. So it's similar to that situation. I believe that Nick Sirianni should have a brother, not a best friend, is basically what I'm getting at. And so let's go ahead and continue to go over the Chicago trade that I was going to talk about. So I think a first round. I think Carson Wentz. To the Chicago Bears, and for their first round pick and Anthony Miller, and I think that would be good. I think that would be good because one, that would take care of. Honestly, AJ, that would take care of us needing a playmaker in the first round. You know what I mean? That would take care of us needing a playmaker in the first round. And so we could go and get Zach Wilson, and we could go and get Justin Fields and not worry about it. And then in the second round, we could go and grab that cornerback. Or we could go and grab that cornerback with the first round pick. And it all depends on who, or the other first round pick. And it all depends on who falls, right? It all depends on who falls. And how the board plays out. But that's why I'm excited, man. Like, that's why I'm excited. Like, it's going to be a crazy offseason, and there's so many different scenarios that could happen. And now that we know that there's a team that has Kyle Wilson or Zach Wilson ranked above Lawrence, like, we don't know which team that is. And at this point, like, that just means that the board could play out in a really crazy way. So we'll just have to see. Do the Eagles trade up for quarterback? Who knows? I mean, here's the thing. I'm not against any scenarios. I'm not against it any scenarios. So we'll have to, anything can happen. Anything can happen, baby. Let me see. Let's go through a couple more trade scenarios with the Chicago Bears. So one of them is Roquan Smith, and so that would probably be a first round pick. That would probably be Carson Wentz, the Chicago Bears, for a first round pick, and Roquan Smith, and that one would probably include extra compensation coming from the Philadelphia Eagles. So that would probably include us sending another pick, because Roquan Smith is a phenomenal inside linebacker. He is the Mike linebacker, and is an elite middle linebacker. And so, yeah, I mean, but I think it would definitely be worth it. Could they go out like Khalil Mack? I personally don't know how they would. His cap, his contract is absolutely ridiculous. So there's that. Strong safety Tayshawn Gibson Sr. is a phenomenal safety. Or free safety Eddie Jackson is a phenomenal safety. The Bears defense is loaded with players that we could possibly trade for. I would love to trade for free safety Eddie Jackson personally. I think he's absolutely phenomenal, and he really is. I mean, his rookie year, he had a phenomenal rookie year, and he's been a stalwart, ever since he's come into the league. That entire guys all along that defense have been really, to be completely honest with you. There's obviously defensive end Akeem Hicks, who's a bit longer in the tooth. Eddie Goldman, nose tackle. They run a 3-4 defense there, and they run a 3-4 base defense in Chicago there. So it would be a bit different, but I'm pretty sure Eddie Goldman could do a really good job. They have quite a few guys. Their slot cornerback is Buster Screen, and he's great. Their third string cornerback, Artie Burns, he's a decent depth chart corner or depth piece cornerback that they could possibly look into. Right inside linebacker Danny Trevathan. Obviously, as we know, he played for the Broncos, but he's still playing at a phenomenal level. And so there's guys up and down the board. But I definitely believe that they could possibly be interested in a Zach Ertz, however, because Cole Kmet, let's go ahead and see how he did. Welcome to whoever just joined. Please let me know what your questions or comments are in the live chat. Right now, we're just doing an open conversation, so whatever you want to talk about, just go ahead and throw them at me. We're just listening to some music, just hanging out. And right now, we're kind of going over different trade scenarios with the Chicago Bears. And so we've talked about Anthony Miller. We've talked about Roquan Smith. We've talked about the possibility of the Eagles taking a quarterback at 6, and with that extra pick, it could possibly really not that big of a deal because they'll have the extra pick and they'll be able to get some decent playmakers with the extra picks that they do acquire. So. Okay, so Cole. Okay, so yeah, Cole Kmet was a rookie this past season. And he had 28 receptions on 44 targets. So it's a little bit more than 50%. It's a little bit more than 50% of his targets that he does catch for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's not that big of a threat. I'm surprised that they have Jimmy Graham listed as a second tight end, honestly. It's a bit strange, but they did just sign Demetrius Harris. Who to come in and compete. But Jimmy Graham had 50 receptions for over 76 targets for 456 yards and 8 touchdowns. So Jimmy Graham's playing at a high level still, and I think that they would be interested in a Zach Ertz. I really do. I think that they would be interested in a Zach Ertz. One, because he can still ball. He can still ball, guys. So. But we will just have to see. Some people have talked about Dave Montgomery and things like that. it would be phenomenal for the Philadelphia Eagles to get David Montgomery. It just won't happen. There was a rumor, but it's not going to happen. We don't need him, but would we like a David Montgomery? Sure. Be a huge upgrade over Boston Scott, but there's no way in hell that they're getting David Montgomery. So. But that's pretty much all I got for now, guys. I'll probably be out a little bit later. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, do remember that we do have a new donation site up. It is streamlabs.com/DB Talking Now/tip. So if you'd like to go ahead and make a donation, you certainly can. You don't have to, but you certainly can. Anything does help, and everything that you do donate is recycled, redistributed back into the stream so I can bring you guys better content. You know what I mean? So we also do have a merch store that is up as well, and there's just a few basic items on there, but there will be more to come. I promise you that. Some cool, exciting items that I promise you will come in the future. And that site is streamlabs.com/DB Talking Now/merch. So if you want to check that out, feel free to. There's t-shirts, there's long sleeve shirts. We have face covers as well. So make sure that you stay safe and healthy from the dangers of the COVID. It's really important. So I just want to stress that. And tank tops if you want to rep DB Talking Now while you're working out as well at home, or just if you want to sleep in the tank top too. I mean, you do you. I'm not gonna. You do you. But this is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. You guys have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your Wednesday. I'm sure I will be back on and talking to you all soon. And remember to stay safe and stay healthy wherever you are. And go Birds, baby.